Welcome back to part 2 of the Mindful Tutor and You. And this portion will be much shorter than the other portion of our keynote talk. As you saw in the first part of the video, we were talking about mindful writing strategies, a whole host of reasons why we want to return to the present moment for ourselves in our writing to help ourselves become more aware, more compassionate towards ourselves as writers before we help others. So to put on our own oxygen masks and take care of ourselves before we help others in the tutoring session. So for this part, we're going to just adjust the first part of this video to the tutoring context in 2 specific ways through 2 activities. And again, I encourage maybe private writing for both of these activities. I'll ring a bell, and that means that you should probably stop the videotape and just do some mindful free writing, which is free writing while watching the breathing. Okay, so the first activity concerns preconceptions. If you remember from the last video, the first segment of this keynote, we talked about preconceptions as being the ways in which we take gambles on the next moment and think we know what's about to happen. We're mindlessly rushing towards the future and judging it, and evaluating it, trying to control it through our mental formations. And the goal with mindfulness is to achieve this bare awareness, this wonderful, mild happiness, to be honest with you, an outlook towards the present that's open and receptive to whatever arises without judging it ahead of time. So in the previous segment, we talked about preconceptions you might have about writing tasks you have this school year, maybe next, or college. Now we're turning towards the tutoring context. So in a mindful, private free write, could you explore for about 2 minutes, how do you talk to yourself about your tutoring work? When you think of your next shift working in the writing center, what expectations are you lugging around? Expectations about how the tutoring session should happen, expectations about how you should act, perform, feel, think as a tutor. And just explore and see what comes to mind around those 2 areas. Okay, for about, I'd say 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Welcome back if you paused the tape, which I hope you certainly did. So same as we did previously in the earlier segment today on mindful writing for yourself. Look at your mindful free write that you just did, exploring the preconceptions you may be hosting about your tutoring work. Pick the one that has the most energy for you. And just as we did with the previous activities, could you see what kind of a storyline emerges from your preconception? So some idea you have about the future, you and your own tutoring work, and noticing if you followed through on that preconception mindlessly, let it kind of dictate your thoughts, right? How would it affect your outlook? How would it affect your feelings? How might it affect how you experience or how you organize that tutoring session? So your actual process of tutoring. So we're looking for the storylines your preconceptions about tutoring might generate. So please stop the tape, and if you could free write for about a minute to that. Me again. All right, so our final closing activity is called loving kindness meditation for writers and tutors. Loving kindness meditation for writers and tutors. Loving kindness is a powerful way of steering the internal talk to developing greater compassion towards the self, towards others, including others who might bother us, okay? So we're going to start it off with a little breathing, some mindful breathing, which I'll walk you through. Then I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I think you should keep this as private writing, but of course it's entirely up to you, whatever you want to do. They're all prompts having to do with wishing others, including the self, happiness. And because we're talking about writing and tutoring and learning, the context for our loving kindness meditation will be those things. Okay, so let's start off with a brief seated meditation. Breathing in, know that you're here. Think now. Breathing out, know that you're here. Think here. Okay. So whether you want to free write or just jot down observations to what I say, that's lovely. And keep it private writing, I think, but you decide. So breathing in, I'd like you to think of yourself, you as a writer, as a tutor, as a student. Breathing in, visualize something. What would make you really happy as a writer, as a tutor, or as a student? Breathing in, ask yourself, what would make me happy? Breathing out, visualize yourself receiving whatever it is that would make you happy. So do this in writing. You can also just sort of think about this if you want. Now we're going to move on to another person. I'd like you to think of somebody that you've worked with in the tutoring context. You've tutored this person. And there's somebody who your heart really goes out to. You see them struggling, or you've watched them succeed, or there's something about this person that makes you really, really care, feel compassionate about this person. Somebody, again, from the tutoring context, from somebody you helped in the writing center. Breathing in, again, probably using your imagination, but we'll see. Breathing in, ask yourself, what would make this person happy about writing or being a student? And then breathing out, visualize this person receiving whatever it is that would make them happy as a writer or as a student? Now think of somebody you've met in the tutoring context. You've tutored, who bothers you a little bit. For whatever reason, don't judge why. It didn't make you feel good. Something went wrong, or you didn't feel so good about this interaction. Maybe the person was disrespectful to you, or unappreciative, or pushy, or whatever it was going on, okay? Can you think of somebody like that? And then breathing in, ask yourself, what would make that person happy, more at peace about their writing or maybe being a student? And breathing out, visualize them receiving whatever it is that would make them happy, more at peace about being a writer or a student. Now think of somebody, maybe your teacher for your writing center class, maybe your writing teacher, maybe the writing center director. Breathing in, ask yourself, what would make that person happy as a writer or as a teacher / writing center director, whoever, whatever their role is in your life? And then breathing out, visualize that person receiving what would make them happy, more at peace. Two more. I'd like you now to think of all the students in your school, wherever you go to school. I know this conference draws people from all over, so wherever you go to school, your whole school. Breathing in, wish your whole school peace and happiness for its writing and for just its writing. We'll stick to that. And then breathing out, imagine the whole school that you belong to receiving something that would make it just very happy and peaceful about its writing. And last of all, to all the tutors and their teachers and their support who've come to this conference, and to the organizers of this fabulous conference. Breathing in, think of all these people, everybody here at this conference on tutoring, serving others, and their writing. Breathing in, what would make everybody here happy, more at peace about their writing? And then breathing out, visualize all of us at this conference more happy, peaceful because of that for our writing. Very good. So I want to say that you can do these brief meditations either in your head or a little free write before starting your tutoring session, before heading to the writing center for your shift, any of that. Even if you do one or two, or you think about the person that you're anticipating on your schedule for today for your tutoring shift, or you see them walking across the room, watching the breathing, wishing them well, wishing them well, as I wish you well. So thank you so much for spending your time watching these videos. I hope they were of use to you. I'm going to show a final screen here. Bear with me a second. Okay, here are some recommended resources if you want to check this stuff out. My TEDx talk, in which I talk about how I reduced my own writer's block, moving from a reader demon to a monkey to a river of language. I have a book, I have a blog, and I also do a series for NCTE with some videos too. So these are all resources if you're interested. But most of all, may every moment be a prolific moment for you. May each of your breaths be covered in language. May your writing be free of the suffering of writing.